Previously on Dandies in Danger.
Your first impression of the dining hall is the grandiose abundance of space. Nathaniel glances to his right and he flinches.
That bitch is haunted.
One of the waitstaff walking in with another person. It seems that we have a last-minute guest who would like to attend this evening. A young woman. The waitstaff tries to take off her coat, but she clutches it closer to herself. My name is Rosamund Osmond. Sylvester, Eleanor, Edwin, and Liam all look at Rosamund with wide eyes. Liam happens to glance back over at Eleanor again, who is slowly puffing away on her pipe. What he sees in the smoke is a small, amorphous face. It looks unhappy.
Hi, my name is Eli, my pronouns are he, him, and I play the voice of Zachary Wilkos.
Hello, I'm Cass. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm voicing Liam Bardsley.
Hi, I'm Chess, he, she, they, and I voice Daniel Pritchard.
Hi, I'm Toast. Pronouns are she, they, and I play Adrian Edwards.
It's hard to sort of tell many of the features of this face as he's looking at it, but he finds himself staring, and Eleanor catches his eyes, and he shakes himself, and he says, "My apologies, it's a lovely fragrance. What brand is that?" And she responds in kind, but then Liam turns to Zach and tries to get his attention by bulging his eyeballs at him.
Zachary...
Which everyone else can see as well.
Zachary kind of feels a gaze on him. It's been a little hard because the priest is next to him and he's kind of a bit in his own head, but he does notice a feeling of another pair of eyes and he looks over at Liam and Liam's eyes are bulging and so he gives him a very confused look.
Liam glances to his left very quickly towards Eleanor and her smoking pipe.
He also does like a quick glance and observes the smoking pipe. Can I roll for observation or anything? Or does he just see the faces?
You'll be able to see this. It's canonical that you can see these sort of things.
Fantastic.
Liam has a feather on him?
Exactly.
So he can see. Okay.
Exactly. This is not something that occurs to Liam every single day. For Zach, I'm going to say you're not going to take a fright from this at all. It's just a face small enough to be within this smoke. And, it looks like maybe you can make out there's like a little mustache on this face.
Yeah, he's more intrigued than not. He's than anything else. He's...
She's smoking her dead husband's ashes.
Maybe.
He's just like, darling, what's going on? I don't quite feel myself.
Go ahead, you can give me a d20 roll because just to see what sort of vibes you pick it up.
Yeah, I would love to feel out the vibes right now in this person.
It's not really a roll to see if you can see it, it's just straight up vibes. And you can add wisdom.
It doesn't matter.
It's not going to help.
A 9.
A 9?
Failure.
Okay.
It's not a failure. It's like a moderate.
It's my failure. It's my personal failure.
Aw, I'm a failure.
Personal failure. So, I'm not going to give you anything specific to this situation, but you have seen ghosts like this before, where you can tell that it is a ghost, first of all. I'll give you that. There's a ghost in the smoke of her pipe. And from the other types of ghosts that you've seen like this is a very faint impression. So most ghosts like this, it's just kind of a repetition, a bit of emotion, a little touch of memory, but barely any memory there. So this is nothing like the ghosts that were trapped in the demon's nest on the ship. This is much more like the kind of ghost that you would see on a regular basis, attached to some sentimental item. This is fairly common for you.
Okay, so he's right now assuming, like, oh, this is a ghost attached to the pipe. She might be smoking her husband's pipe, who is now no longer in this world.
Yes.
Okay, so he kind of, upon saying that, he looks back at Liam and he gives a little shake of his head, like, it's all right. And he goes back to eating.
Liam is kind of clutching his utensils a little bit, but he tries to loosen up and...
Does Liam take a fright?
He doesn't take a fright. It's fairly small. Liam has also seen some pretty spooky things by this point.
That's true.
So he's not going to take a fright from that, but he was nervous because he's like, is shit about to get real? But no, Zachary was able to reassure him that everything is pretty much on the up and up.
Okay. I completely zoned out on Bentley Keene. What does he do? I remember he's a printer, but did he say anything else?
He works at a paper.
The Falcon.
Yeah, he did tell you specifically that he works at the Falcon, but he hasn't told that to the group. He hasn't told that to the table.
All right. Okay. If there was a way, I would want Zachary to get his guard down, but I don't know if I can use the points to do that.
Yeah, you can.
Sure.
Yeah, give me a point there.
You have 3. Who else do you want to get good favor with?
Who's the bitch you have qualms with, Adrian?
Virginia
Actually,
Colby.
I would love, so
Oh, God.
there's,
Do tell me everything.
So what's
Spill the tea.
so Bentley Keene, just to double back just a second, Bentley Keene is now neutral towards you.
Excellent. Okay.
And if you would like to talk to Virginia Colby in character, you can do that, or you can just be like, I want to use a point.
You would have to, speak around the priest.
I know, that's what's giving me hesitation. Is the priest is literally right there.
And this mechanic will be used at other times as well, so if you want to just wait on that, you can also do that, so.
Yeah, I do want to wait. I don't know how Zachary got Bentley back to,
I would say that the next course of the meal comes out, and it is, in fact, pork tenderloin braised in wine, with peppered potatoes and candied carrots on the side. We'll say that for Mr. Keene, perhaps you made a remark about the boar's heads around the room and the pork tenderloin that you're eating now, and he thought that was fairly funny. So he's,
Great, I'm clever.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah, he's back to a neutral.
You know what?
Yes.
He's gonna talk to Leonard.
He's gonna talk to. Oh.
You know what?
Okay.
He is. Yeah.
Face your fears.
Yes. All right.
It's
so is
there's
this
too
gonna
much
be...
tension, and if he's quiet, he knows that's gonna be weird. Mm-hmm. And his panicking brain is just just be normal, just be normal. How do we be normal? Oh, right. And then it launches into how he's normal.
Can we hear that?
Sure. I don't know if he would say any. I would like for the priest to say something first, because he's kind of struggling with what to say.
I think Father Underwood is not, he's not completely insensible to the fact that you're a little bit tense. And so he just leans over and he says, how are you finding the meal? Mr. Wilkos, was it?
Yes. Oh, I'm finding the meal rather well. I'm afraid I was starving when I first entered into here.
I have to confess, it's much fancier than what I usually eat. At the church, of course. St. Mary Le Bow.
Ah, yes.
Le Bow. Le Bow. St. Mary Le Bow.
Is he the one correcting himself, or
Yes.
Is that canonical?
Yeah.
he is the one correcting himself?
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Is there a historical reason why I would know he's correcting himself, or is it just he's correcting
He's
himself?
just correcting himself.
Okay.
Is he who he says he is?
Yeah, I'm
I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
suspicious.
that's kind of suspicious.
And what meals does Man of the Cloth normally take?
Well, I mean, I do eat potatoes sometimes, but not cooked quite like this.
He nods.
And I also, I have fish on occasion and vegetables.
A pescatarian.
A lot of vegetables. You know, it's just, the meat's so expensive. I don't really get to enjoy pork tenderloin like this.
It
very
really
often.
is. It's
Isn't it?
And then he finds comfort in numbers, so he starts actually going on and starts listing market prices and things like that. And he goes, to think that one should be able to find themselves in a position to splurge on, say, something like venison or veal, you have to be quite wealthy indeed. I'm very happy with this boar, but it's unfathomable to me the way people can just spend so much money on something that is momentary as eating.
I mean, well, I confess that I enjoy a good meal whenever I can get one, but it really is, the prices have just been unbelievable recently. I just, I certainly can't bankrupt the bank or anything, or, the church. And so, I mean, you'd know all about the numbers.
He said bank.
Did he do
The
that?
bank as in, his accounts.
Okay.
His accounts.
All right.
It's good you're paying attention. He just meant his accounts.
Might I ask, where is the Le Beau church
Yes,
located?
St. Mary Le Beau.
That's French, is it? Le Beau?
Well, it's a very old historical building, and of course, the Norman invasion. I don't know if it's been around since the Norman invasion, but it is a very, veritably old church. And he gives you the location. Mm-hmm. I had the location in my notes somewhere, but I've forgotten the notes. But he knows the location of it, and he tells you where it is. Where do you go to church?
I must confess I don't often attend church.
He nods, but he doesn't seem quite as perturbed by that as you might expect.
Yeah.
Did, unpleasant experiences?
Oh, yes. He nods.
Leonard nods. It's unfortunate.
This is very intriguing.
I confess you're not the only one to have had unpleasant experiences. But I always seek to provide very pleasant experiences to my parishioners.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
You must be a very good shepherd for your flock.
I endeavor to be so.
Then that's the conversation.
Yeah, that's it.
Good one.
Very good. All right, so
Okay, interesting.
I'm going to move.
So he keeps fucking up the name, and he was the first one to infer unpleasant experiences, which I admit made Zachary's heart skip a beat, and for a moment Zachary fathomed whether he should lie. He's like, I've got a sick aunt, or something like that. And he's like, no, I can't. I'm not going to be able to keep track of that, so he just says yes. Also, it's not uncommon.
Oh yeah, I have a etiquette question. Are you allowed, or is it proper to talk to people that aren't right next to you? Is it okay to be talking to people across from you or diagonal?
For the sake of this game.
Yeah, exactly. For the sake of the game, I'm not going to penalize you, and I don't know the answer to that question. I will say, everyone has now been introduced to each other, so you can talk to anybody without impunity.
Okay, just checking.
With impunity. And before we move on from Zach, you've got one more point, one more little, perhaps, off-camera conversation. Do we want to jump back into more dinner conversation next time?
Give it to Virginia.
Give it to Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why not? Do it. Let's.
Daniel or Adrian?
Let's do Adrian first because he has less people.
Okay. The colonel, who is to your left, is currently guarded towards you because he saw you sniffing the dog in the library. So
That's right.
He's, again, not averse, but certainly guarded about your strange behavior. But diagonal to you is Father Underwood. You've got Zach and Daniel across from you. And who are you interested in speaking with?
Well, I want to make friends with Dorothea.
All right, excellent.
She's another writer.
Refresh my memory. Did you introduce yourself as a writer?
No, he didn't introduce himself at all. He said his name and then said he was here with friends.
Okay. Excellent. So are you going to initiate conversation with Dorothea, or...
So hard. He wouldn't want to. He's bad at everything. Okay, he's challenging himself. He's doing his best, so I suppose he would try to lean, out into the table so she could hear him or see him and ask, Excuse me, Miss Crispin?
Why, yes, and it was Mr. Edwards, wasn't it?
Yes. Were you able to finish whatever you were working on in the library before dinner?
Well, there's still a great deal left for me to research. My work feels like it's never really done. But there are some very interesting historical texts here. They go quite far back. I'm very impressed. Some of the documents are quite old. Also, don't feel prohibited. Daniel, you are sitting right next to Dorothea, so if it feels natural for you to join in on this conversation, feel free. We don't have to go
Okay.
1-1-1-1-1.
Okay.
What were you researching exactly?
Well, I'm doing a little bit of research for the current novel that I'm working on. It's a bit about... I hope you won't laugh. There's a lady knight who has to travel as an ambassador whenever things go south with political arrangements, and so she has to escort 3 ambassadors, as well as herself, back to their home countries. But in the meantime, one of them might be a spy, and she doesn't know which one it is. I'm yammering on a little bit, but that's the work I've been doing right now, and I do like to have a bit of accuracy in my work.
That sounds very exciting.
Political dramas are always difficult to manage, but I have no doubt that you can. Seems like
yes.
you're doing an awful lot of research.
Yes, I am doing my best, and you're Mr. Verdi, yes?
Yes, indeed. I'm a writer myself.
A writer?
A travel journalist, you say?
Yes, I did say that.
Fascinating. Would you care to
you two
expound
know each
upon
other?
that?
Oh, yes, we're friends.
Yes, indeed.
Wonderful. Do you do much traveling as well, Mr. Edwards?
No, not terribly.
Oh God, if I was the brat, I would, and Zachary was listening, I'd reach across the table and go, "Oh, it's alright, you can call him Lord Fartington. He's being modest, but this is his real name." I'm not gonna do that. I'm so sorry, but like, the temptation is there.
So Zachary is just smiling down into his potatoes and pork tenderloin deviously.
He is mostly just thinking about doing that.
Dorothea turns to Daniel and says, "Would you, perhaps, I hope this isn't too presumptuous of me to ask, but who is your publisher? I have another book that I've already finished writing, but I just can't find anyone to publish me. I keep sending in letter after letter. Who does your travel journals?"
He decides fuck it, and he names the publishing house that Daniel Pritchard, the author, gets published under because they were willing to work with someone like him, and so thus he hopes that they will be willing to work with someone like her, and he already has an in that place too, so he can put in a good word for her. And by this point, he's fully intending to reveal that he is Daniel Pritchard to her later. And I've already decided one of my points is going to be used on her. So eventually he will reveal that he is a novelist too.
Like at dinner or just later this evening?
Later this evening. He doesn't want anyone else to hear.
Later this evening when he privately visits her.
When, only his close friends know him as Daniel Pritchard. Yeah. Everyone else is...
And knows that he's not Italian.
So, Mr. Edwards, if it's not too presumptuous to ask, what do you do? How do you spend your time?
Well, I write a bit myself. Poetry.
Poetry? Oh, that's
Usually.
wonderful. I've never really been drawn to the poetry myself. I much prefer good adventure, but I appreciate reading it, even if I can't write it as
Daniel,
well.
if only you hadn't lied. If only you hadn't lied, Daniel. You two would have been able to connect.
I know, we would have hit it. Okay, he's gonna hit it off with her later when he reveals it. Actually, because I already have an alibi for him why he would be going under a different name. It's because I'm so
writer.
famous. I don't want everyone to recognize me.
There is an author I could recommend you if you're not the type for poetry.
Daniel
I love
stares
to.
at him like, don't
I'd love to hear.
you fucking...
He names someone else.
She jots it down.
But he kind of makes eyes at Daniel.
Now Daniel's a little disappointed. Am I not good enough?
God. Adrian is going to sit back and kind of nudge Liam and be like, "Did you see that? I had conversation. I did that. I was not prompted by you or anyone."
Does he say that? Does he say this?
Yes, to Liam. He's saying.
Oh, he's saying it all.
He's saying it out loud.
To Liam, yes.
I thought he
He's
was
not like
speaking with his eyeballs.
No. He's saying it like, kind of low, but he's like he wants him to notice.
I am very impressed. I mean, you're going to surpass me soon as a social butterfly.
Oh,
What
sure.
a good boy.
Daniel, by the way, we're counting that as your point. And after the eyeballs that you rolled earlier on towards the rich end of the table where they were being assholes, and that moment that you shared, you are up to amicable with Dorothea.
Yay. That makes sense. I
So-
feel amicable with her.
Excellent. Then just keep that in mind because you will be able to, if you want to perceive anything about her, you will have +2 to all of your insight, and she will also be able to have more insight towards you as well if she chooses to. Okay, Adrian, you have a couple more folks that you can get on good terms with.
I don't know. I mean, instinctively, he would prefer to be friends with almost all the other ladies.
Liam will lean back if you want to talk to Eleanor.
I suppose he'd do that. I don't know what they'd talk about, but we can maybe just skip that one.
Sure, that's fine. We can say that you all make a passing remark about the dramatic storm that's happening outside, and you bond over how kind of theatrical it is. And since you're sitting on the east side facing west, you can see the lightning illuminating the trees and the skyline out there. And she appreciates your artistic sensibilities.
All right. I think Beatrix is way too far away for this to work, so can I just make the colonel not guarded towards me?
Yes, I would love to hear how you would want that to happen, though.
How would I want that to happen?
I will say he did make that sort of grunting noise whenever he saw Lord Fartington, so he might actually be the one to speak with you about your title. He might say, is that a family title?
It goes far back on my father's side, yes.
See, and where do the Fartingtons hail from?
I don't know geography.
He's got completely straight face whenever he's saying all of this. You could try to roll to see how he's interacting.
I don't think there's much point in rolling to see if he's goofing or not. Adrian's just going to say they hail from southern England, mostly.
Southern.
Yeah. Where the butt is.
I think I might have served with the Fartington once.
Oh, really? I apologize then. I hope it wasn't close quarters.
You're very charming.
Okay, yeah. He,
Immediately is endeared to you.
yeah. I would say that after that lovely little rapport, we're gonna blast
Yeah.
neutral. We're gonna blast past neutral and go to interested.
All right.
Excellent.
Love it, love it.
That moment whenever I busted out laughing, he probably gave a That's all he did. He gave
Great.
very small, but you get the impression that it might be worth a lot.
Adrian feels accomplished. He doesn't usually...
He doesn't bond with dad-shaped guys.
Does not. He does not vibe with older men.
POV, you're a dad-shaped man.
So that's your 3. Daniel, do you want to go ahead and...
Reveal my 5.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've already got one of them. So we've got
Dorothea. Dorothea for sure. And then the Quinns, because he already introduced himself as Daniel and wants to be on good terms with them and be like, hey, I'm not being shady. I just, I'm so famous that I don't want to reveal who I am everywhere I go.
Does he say that out loud, or is he just trying to be friendly with them
I mean, he's at the dinner table right now where other people can hear him, so he's not going to talk about it. He plans to talk about it with them later. But he strikes friendly conversation with them.
Okay, excellent. Since you were introduced earlier with Liam, you were already at interested, so now you are to amicable with both Quinns.
So that's +2 with both of them? Mm-hmm. Okay. I would like another one to be Bentley Keene. Mm-hmm. He seems like he's up to something, or like he knows something.
Mm-hmm. So for Bentley Keene, I'm going to actually say for this one, I would like to do this one in character. Because I want to know.
Conversation?
Yeah, I want to have that conversation in character. Because I want to know what sort of things you're saying to him and what kind of things he's saying to you.
Shit, he doesn't know anything about Bentley.
No.
I know about Bentley. He doesn't.
Yeah. Bentley did introduce himself as a printer at a paper.
He said that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then I've reason to talk to him. Mm-hmm. Mr. Keene, sir, you said you were a publisher at a paper?
Did I say I was a publisher? Roll a d20.
16. Am I adding anything?
Yeah, add your wisdom.
5. That's a 21.
Wow, okay. So whenever you asked if he was a publisher, he actually hesitated for a minute before he said, "Is that what I said?" So he didn't correct you. He just said, Is that what I said?
Zachary nudges Daniel and say printer.
My apologies. You said printer.
Ah, that's what I thought. I work for a newspaper. You probably wouldn't have heard of it. It's called The Falcon. And whenever he says that, Ida Quinn actually perks up her ears. And she says, "It's The Falcon you work for, sir." "Why, yes. Have you read any of the publications?" And she looks, it's the first time you've seen her look kind of consternated in the evening. And then she shakes her head and she says, "Well, yes, sir, but I don't know as I can put a much truck with it. Begging your pardon, sir. I'm sure that there's a great deal of time that goes into it, but I read one of the latest ones about vampires, and I have to say I couldn't quite tell whether it was a joke or if it was a serious publication. Perhaps you can illuminate that for me."
Oh, it's a tabloid.
Is it?
Possibly. Or, oh, no, vampires are real. Wait. Wait a minute, sorry. Oh, okay. So he knows what's going on.
Maybe.
Being Daniel is a hell of a drug.
Oh my god. No, Daniel doesn't know what he wants.
Listen, it's okay.
Daniel's like
I
simultaneously
understand.
so smart and so dumb.
Yeah, bimbo.
Oh my god. Okay.
And so whenever she said, I'm not sure if it's a joke or if the paper takes itself seriously, Mr. Keene leans back and he says, well, that's a fairly common reaction to the paper. And, I'm not particularly invested in changing people's minds, but I'm of the belief that there's many things in the world that we are ignorant to. And so I'm just a humble printer myself. But there are some things that we are not fully aware of. That's my philosophy anyway.
And who's to say vampires aren't real? I've never seen a ray of sunlight touch his face. And he nods over at Adrian.
Oh my gosh. Whenever you do that, Mr. Keene, that's bumping you up right to amicable. That's bumping you up right to amicable.
Hell yeah, I'm amicable with everyone that I've chosen so far.
Yeah, you're doing
Very charming.
fantastic, sweetie. The reason for this is because in the library, you might remember that Mr. Keene recognized Adrian's name, Adrian Edwards, as the heir to the London Compass. And so
right.
you kind of ragging on him a little bit of the teasing as well as your more open-minded philosophy. That's bumped you right up to amicable.
Sweet.
Yes.
The fifth and final point I would like to spend is on Nathaniel.
Wonderful. Here's what I'll tell you a little bit about Nathaniel, is that he hasn't been engaged by other people around him in conversation because he's right next to Miss Chumley and Sylvester D. Higgins. Higgins has just completely ignored him, pretty much, and Miss Chumley tried to engage him maybe once or twice in conversation, and he tried to be game to it, but he hasn't actually traveled to very many places, so she kind of ran out of conversation topics with him. Go ahead, roll me a wisdom roll first before you interact with
D20
him.
wisdom. Mm-hmm. Oh, 7 plus 5 is 13.
It's 12.
12. You're so right.
For an intermediate success, you notice that he is being very observant to the table, and he's not eating very much. That's what you notice.
And do I notice anything about his right hand? He's not using it very much?
He's using his left hand.
Okay. Interesting.
He catches you looking at him as you think about a conversation opener, and he's already amicable towards you.
I think I'd nod and be like, lovely meal, sir.
He kind of like breathes a sigh of relief. He's like, I did want to make sure that I got good ingredients in. I'm hoping everyone will have a lovely experience here and go and tell their friends and their family, and then their acquaintances will come here as well. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
I have, very much so. I have no doubt that business will be booming soon.
He smiles and nods. Go ahead and roll another wisdom roll, but this time you get to add the +2.
Oh, well, 4 plus 5 9. Damn it. I'm doing so poorly. We'll blame that I'm quite a distance from him.
Yeah, quite all right. It's his usual nervous self.
Okay.
So, he blushes a little bit. He's like, well, Mr. Verdi, would you tell me about some of the places you've been for your travel journal? Beatrix Chumley leans over well and is oh yes, I'd love to hear more.
Oh, of course. Daniel speaks of places he has actually been.
Okay.
He talks a little bit of Wales, but he doesn't include it too much because he knows people don't find it very interesting. He includes some of the tourist places that he would be very familiar with. He speaks of Germany, where he's been before, and he speaks of India, which he has never technically been to, but he is in like constant communication with a cousin of his who lives in India. He's always in communication with like family from there. So she has told him a lot of things and places and stuff like that. And so he kind of distracts with like interesting information and did you know, that kind of thing. And he is knowledgeable on his subjects because he stays within what he knows.
Okay, fantastic. just to clarify, you're speaking about India as if he has traveled there using information that he's gotten from his cousin's letters.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. In that case, roll a influence roll with advantage, and I will be rolling for Nathaniel and for Beatrix. With Nathaniel, Nathaniel is going to get a +2 to the insight, so we're competing.
Okay. Oh, I got a nat 20.
Oh,
So
that's fantastic.
I don't think I need to roll again.
Yeah, no, you ace it with Nathaniel, but you do have to roll for
Chumley.
For Chumley.
Shit, she's the one I'm a bit more concerned about.
She's just interested.
With advantage, though, right?
Yes, with advantage.
11 plus my influence is 13.
You did it.
I did it?
Yep, they both seem very pleased. Yeah.
Okay.
They're both very charmed by your stories, by your supposed travels, your real travels and your supposed travels. Nathaniel looks very starry-eyed, and he looks down into his plate of food, and he's kind of mushing his potatoes around a little bit, and he says, "You know, I have always wanted to travel. My family used to do a lot, military-wise. They got to see the world through the army and whatnot, but I wish I could travel and see all the different places. Things keep me here."
Things keep me here. He's bound. It's the curse.
It's called being poor, Daniel.
I too am bound. It's the curse.
You and I were very bound.
Okay. Well, he makes a note of that Nathaniel seems almost haunted by a need to stay.
All right. Let me see what I'm going to do for Liam, because...
Oh, wait. Am I +2 with him or +3 with Nathaniel?
With Nathaniel, you are +2, I believe.
He was already amicable with me, and then I...
Oh, no, that's right. You are up to... Thank you for catching that. So, amicable before, and now I would say allies is the official title. I would say character-wise, he really admires you and thinks you're super cool, and you've been to all kinds of places. Your dad's from Milan, and your mom's from Florence, and,
Wow.
he definitely finds you the most interesting character here at the table.
Yay! Excellent.
Just in general, while we're at dinner, can I perceive the room?
Yeah,
Briefly,
go for
to
it.
see if there's anything.
Go for it. You can add wisdom.
Okay. Oh, modified 20.
Hell yeah. I gave you pretty much all of the general information about the room before. Is there anything in particular you want to look at?
Anything, the painting is striking, or if anything else seems out of place, kind of like the possibly missing statue from the other room, or...
Yeah, okay. You got a modified 20? Mm-hmm. I'll say with that, you can identify that the Artemis that's on the pillar that is pointed towards that white boar, it looks like the same size, same make, the same material as all of the other bronze statues of the gods from the other room. So it's a fairly safe assumption that they just moved that Artemis statue from the parlor into the dining room for the lovely little tableau of her pointed towards the boar. The boar is made of marble, so that's not bronze. It wasn't initially made to be a companion piece to that Artemis. It has been put there intentionally.
Okay. And it's white marble.
Yes, it is marble. Marble that is white. And you said you were also looking at the painting, right?
Yeah. I probably have to turn around to look at it, but...
Yes.
You would.
It's over the fireplace, so everybody who's on the east side of the table is quite roasty toasty. Our little buns are toasting in the fireplace. But the painting has 6 hounds they're white. They're sort of the shape of a foxhound type of dog. It's fairly bloody for a dining room piece. Zachary wasn't too far off about loss of appetite, unless you're into that sort of thing. Because the boar that is being attacked it looks ferocious. It's got kind of a fierce agony to it as they're rending it to shreds. The huntsman, who's wearing a sort of traditional British hunting garb, is sitting astride his horse. He's a little bit too far away to tell anything aside from that he's Caucasian, he's white, and is looking on impassively on the scene.
Okay. Is the boar just regularly boar-colored? Is it also white, or is it just a boar?
The boar is just a boar.
Okay.
It looks very much like any of the other boar's heads, the multiple boar's heads that are lining the walls around this dining hall. I'll give you also that the boar heads that are looming around you are very big. They're massive. And even with a modified 20, for Adrian, you don't do a lot of hunting. And so you would probably not be familiar with whether or not these are just like, this is how big a boar is, or if these are remarkably large.
Wait, there's also a big mirror in here and 2 other taxidermied hounds. Can I get anything about that with my 20?
The hounds are sitting at attention.
Yeah.
The mirror is ornate. It is floor to ceiling, huge. So the entire table is sort of doubled. Makes the room seem even bigger than it is, which is already quite large. I was making the map for this, and then whenever I went through and looked at the measurements again, it's kind of astonishing how big this is. And it's significant to the story as well, because this is a huge, very, very, very well-to-do kind of palatial building.
Okay, if that's everything I can see, then cool.
Yes.
Adrian really wants to communicate to Zach somehow to be like, look at the mirror and see if it's spooky, but I'm not sure how he would do that. Everybody's trying to like make eyes at Zach and be like, hey, what about that?
Yeah.
Zach's like, I'm trying to eat.
He's not. He's way too keyed up.
I don't know. Adrian will just take mental stock of these things.
Okay. The final course of dinner comes out. It is dessert, and everyone is served a dish of gooseberry fool, which is pureed sweetened berries with a custard cream. And the gooseberries are little green gooseberries, which they're still ripe, they're tasty and tart.
Nice.
Sweetened with sugar. Everybody gets to enjoy them.
Oh, nice. Zachary's never had this before.
It's a fairly popular dish, and it's well prepared. Nice. Everything that you've eaten this evening was made technically, the technical skill behind it was very superb. It doesn't have the same sort of warmth as home cooking might have. And incidentally, whenever they bring out the dessert and one of the waitstaff walks behind you again, Zachary, you feel the same sensation that you felt before. Like something very soft being drug across your shoulders. This time you kind of feel it a little bit on the back of your head, and it makes the hairs stand up on the back of your neck.
And he turns and he still doesn't see anything associated with who walked behind him. Is it the same person?
It's a different person.
It's a different waitstaff person. Mm-hmm. Has he felt that with every course? Or just the... Okay.
Yes.
So he's felt that every single time with one of the staff members. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Can't make a scene about it. Can't get up, can't ask them, makes a mental note to tell everybody later.
Let me make a note of who Liam is going to have a nice chat with. He's probably been also chatting this whole time with various people. Liam is going to chat with Eleanor, since she is directly to the right of him. She tells Liam that she's been a widow for a very long time. She was widowed quite young, but that she makes do for herself very well, that she used to be a governess, and that she is interested in perhaps opening another school for girls at some point, since she has a lot of free time on her hands. Liam will also chat with Father Underwood. He has no reason, because he doesn't know why Zach is nervous around him, probably hasn't picked up on that. Whenever Liam does enter into conversation with Father Underwood about the church and how he likes it and how long he's been a priest there at the church, Father Underwood turns the question around and asks Liam about the church that he goes to. So whenever Father Underwood asks Liam this, he notices that Sylvester T. Higgins has sort of leaned over and is waiting to hear his response. Also, the Quinns are near enough by that they can also overhear this conversation. So, Liam says the truth, which is that he attends both Anglican and Catholic churches due to his unique upbringing, with his father being English and his mother being Irish. Father Underwood does not seem to take any sort of offense to that. He is quite intrigued, interested even, one might say. So that's where Liam is with him. So there's Eleanor, there's him, so that's 2.
Bump up the Quinns.
No one is talking to Rosamund.
That's true.
You know what? That's a good thought. I think Liam is going to talk to Rosamund.
Yeah, he'd be a nice boy like that.
Yeah. Liam leans over enough so that he can speak with Miss Osmond. Why, Miss Osmond, I hope you're finding yourself comfortable. It was quite a mess out there that you found yourself caught in. I hope everything is all right. Why, yes, it is. I'm just happy to be here. It's nice and warm inside, obviously. And she looks quite warm, but she keeps her jacket tight around her. And Liam sort of taps his lips with his fingers, and he says, well, I feel like you seem very familiar to me. Do you think we might be acquainted in any way through our families? Oh, no, of course not. I'm a maid. I'm just a maid. I don't think you would know me at all, sir, but that's very kind of you. He leans back and he says, oh, well, you must just remind me of somebody I know. But do let me know if you're uncomfortable here. It is getting rather warm, I suppose. I'd hate for you to be in any sort of poor seating situation. I'm sure we could make arrangements. And she looks a little quizzical and she's like, I'm fine right where I am. Thank you very much, Mr. Bardsley.
Zachary gives Liam a look. Just inquisitive.
Liam purses his lips and kind of looks off to the side and fully covers his mouth with his hand. He's not giving anything away to Zach.
Zachary.
Adrian looks at him.
Adrian now looks at him?
Yeah, peers at him.
Liam leans over so that he can whisper into Adrian's ear, and he says, I'll tell you about it later.
All right.
I'm going to say Liam talks with Miss Chumley, because Liam has been on a tour of the continent before. He's done some traveling, so she'll talk with him about that. Okay, I am going to bump up the relationship with the Quinns to full allies. So
Yay! That makes sense.
Now remember, they can influence you into giving somebody a foot rub.
Or you can
getting your feet rubbed.
Or you can influence them to give you a foot rub.
Oh my god. I regret saying that. Anyway.
So as the dinner wraps up, you can overhear little snippets of other people's conversations. Like, for example, you can hear a little bit more between Ida and Mr. Keene, where he's listening to her and she's talking about the paper, about how, not everyone who has pale skin and can't go out into the sunlight is a vampire. There's people with a condition called urticaria, which makes it so that they can't go out into the sunlight or else they'll have troubles that get rashes go all out. And he does not seem to be antagonized unduly. He's just, engaging with her in conversation. You can hear Edwin Flynn talking with Sylvester. Flynn has managed to commandeer the conversation away from business, and he's talking about all of the boar's heads. He's talking about, oh yes, you have to go to Europe if you want to hunt boar like this. They don't have boar like this in our UK forests anymore. They've run clean out. They've gone extinct.
Interesting.
So he's talking all about how he goes to Europe all the time. He does all sorts of hunting, but Miss Chumley does not seem overly eager to engage him in conversation about traveling abroad, even though he seems perfectly happy to talk about it. And then the bell chimes for 8:30 as everybody is finishing up their dessert, and Nathaniel rubs his hands together, and he says, well, that shall be all for dinner. Everyone is very welcome to retire to your rooms. I have a room listing here, and Father Underwood, you said it was that you would be staying, and Colonel Gurney, you don't mind sharing a room with Father Underwood? And, of course, the Colonel agrees. He says, it's only proper. And so there's room listings are given out. Everybody is told which room they're staying in. Nathaniel reminds everyone there's going to be about 30 minutes until ladies' hour in the hot spring. And that's whenever Mrs. Audley speaks up and says, I know just the thing for after dinner. I'm a bit of an old hand at the piano myself, and I happened to notice that there was a pianoforte out in the parlor there. Nevin pipes up as well. He says, I do have my violin. Mrs. Audley stands up and she claps her hands and she says, that's just the thing for it. I think we will have a little bit of dancing. Miss Crispin's face lights up. She says, oh my goodness, I do love a dance. Oh, I do hope how many people are gonna come for a dance?
I'll go.
She looks up at you and she
he
grins.
smiles. He smiles at her. He smiles at her, definitely implying, I would love to dance with you.
She's delighted. And then Nathaniel speaks up and he says, why, Mrs. Audley, you don't have to restrain yourself to the pianoforte in the parlor. In fact, up on the next floor, we have a ballroom with a grand piano in it, if you are interested. Mrs. Audley is all business now. She's done. She's digested. She is ready to go. And she says, all right, anyone who's interested is welcome to come up. I'm sure some folks will like to stay and play cards in the parlor or whatever it is you'd like to do. But I, for one, am in the mood for a bit of a dance with all of these bright young people about. She heads up and Nathaniel gives directions. He says, all right, well, it's going to be just up the grand staircase. On the next floor, you'll go through these doors, and please make use of the grand piano if you can. Nevin steps away. He's going to go to the room that he and Ida were assigned, so he's going to go grab his violin. The people who are interested are going to step out of the dining room, back out into the foyer to where the grand staircase is. So who all amongst us would like to go to dancing? Because Liam is also quite enthusiastic. He'd like to do a little dance.
I want to dance.
Well, Adrian's gonna go if Liam does. Are you going? Are you going to the ballroom?
Well, of course, I'd love to have a bit of a dance, and, it's always a good opportunity to party a little bit more in other parts of the manor.
Adrian taps his nose. I suppose I'll join you.
Before we go too much further, I just want to say that Zachary had been listening into the conversations, and I feel like I should have said something earlier, but I had this moment.
Yes?
I had this moment where, he was thinking a lot about the dogs, is all I want to say, and after hearing about, you can't get these kind of boar here anymore, you have to get them from, Europe and stuff like that, there's just, what kind of brooch is Nathaniel wearing? He wants to look over again and look at it.
I'm going to give you a chance to do a wisdom roll on that as everyone is kind of filing out. Mm-hmm. Everybody's sort of moving towards the grand staircase.
He's actually going to go right up to Nathaniel. We're all leaving.
All right. Get right up close to the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. Give me a wisdom roll plus your wisdom, obviously.
23.
23. Okay, perfect. Nathaniel is wearing a garnet brooch.
Okay. He recognizes it and he just says to Nathaniel, "That was an absolutely lovely dinner. I don't think I've ever had a nicer dinner."
I'm very glad to hear it, Mr. Wilkos. Thank you again. I am very grateful to you for coming out this evening. I know it was such short notice.
Yes, of course. Listen, I wanted to apologize for earlier today when I was trying to... I felt it was quite rude of me to overstep my bounds and hand you the money that I did. I must admit I wasn't thinking when we were in the rain and I thought you were in very dire straits, but I can assume that came off as rather blunt and rude, and I just felt so awful about it. Wanted to apologize again for it.
Oh, please, no apologies necessary. I can understand I wasn't in a very fit state standing out in the rain as I was. It sort of came upon us very suddenly.
It did, didn't it?
I could certainly not fault you for making certain assumptions, I suppose.
Of course. Speaking of which, it was your sister that was with you?
My niece.
Your niece, right. Apologies.
She's in her room. She's bother you at all. She's quite a good girl, really. She'll stay away from everyone.
That's all right. I just wanted to know if she was okay having stood out in the rain. I would be very guilty if she had caught her death simply because I had stood there for too long talking to you.
She's as she usually is.
Right, he says. Well.
Thank you for your concern, sir. But yes.
Can he... I also, while Nathaniel's talking, I want Zachary to, sense magic from the brooch real quick.
Yeah, go for it. You will get to roll +1.
Okay.
A 23 couldn't already tell him something about the brooch more than its color?
Oh, the previous roll.
Yeah.
What did you get on your next roll?
A 1.
A 1. Okay.
Because I have this theory, so maybe he just doesn't see it well enough, or he's just finds himself caught looking at the brooch rather than Nathaniel's face.
So here's how we're gonna roll that one. Since you're speaking with Nathaniel, you look down, and he catches you looking down at his brooch, and he doesn't quite look to his right. He kind of flinches to the right, and then covers his brooch with his hand.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. It's very lovely.
No, whoa. Well, you're, thank you. It was a gift.
It's a big difference between seeing you out in the rain and then seeing you so nicely dressed. I'm just really glad that...
Wait a minute. Roll me a d20. You might slip down to neutral.
Hold on. No, because you didn't let me finish.
Okay, all right, finish. Go ahead and finish.
Sounds like you're flirting, though.
It's just nice to see that the benefactor is taking good care of you in the place.
Okay, yes, all right, you saved it. You don't have to roll. You saved it in the second half.
Okay.
No, it was going to be, what it was going to be like, that was kind of a backhanded compliment. Like, it's a little bit like, you look so
Well,
awful
you looked
before.
like shit,
You looked like
man.
shit earlier today, and now you look fine. But,
Yeah.
all right, you pulled through, Chief. Okay, so, actually, I will have you roll a d20, but it's going to be for insight. Okay, rolling dice like it's a game that we're playing.
Get your eyes on the inside.
What? 14. And then plus anything?
Yeah, go ahead and do plus your wisdom +1 for the relationship you've got.
21.
21 is very, very good. Whenever he smiles at you and thanks you for your compliment, he looks very sad.
I got so many theories about what's going on here. I've got I got so many theories out the wazoo, but I don't want to say them as Eli. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
The party makes its way towards the grand staircase. Are you also gonna come upstairs either for room time or for dancing?
No, he's gonna wait until everybody else leaves and maybe tap. Daniel already said that he really wanted to dance with that one. Too bad. He taps Daniel on the shoulder.
So you'd have to walk a little ways to catch up with Daniel. So
Yeah,
you're
Daniel's
close.
already leaving.
Is
Daniel one of the first ones out?
Yeah, Daniel.
Oh, yeah,
Daniel and
Daniel wants to
Dorothea.
dance.
Are there any fucking
Wait.
stragglers?
Daniel wants to
Yeah,
dance.
like,
Out of the three of
If-
you, who straggled
if
behind?
Adrian did see Zachary go talk to Nathaniel, he'd be like, whoa, wait a minute.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And keep Daniel from going.
Well,
No. He'd just wait.
He would wait. He'd probably tap Liam to be like, hey, wait a second. Or he'd be like, hey, I'm going to hang back for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daniel's gone, I'm sorry.
No,
okay.
I think that's
He
great.
wants to dance.
Daniel was one of the first
That's
people out of
perfect,
the
yeah.
room, walking close by with Miss Crispin.
Mhm.
So,
Zachary does quickly hike over to Adrian and says, I really think there's something to the gems in this place. And there's a reason why there are gems in the eyes of every single taxidermied thing here. Not every single, but for the hounds, certainly.
Well, we do know gems can hold magic, so...
What if it's a kind of communication magic?
Spying?
Yes, what if somebody is looking through those eyes at us?
Oh, dear.
And what if somebody is communicating with Nathaniel through his brooch because they're seeing everything he's seeing?
everybody roll a wisdom roll.
Well,
Or not me, I'm not here.
Okay, everybody but Daniel roll a wisdom roll.
is Liam still
You roll a
Liam-
dance roll.
You roll a dance. There'll be dance rolling to be had in the future. But Liam is still there because
Okay.
you said that Adrian tapped him to stay back.
I have a 16.
Okay,
I have-
16.
Ooh, modified 20.
Modified 20. Adrian's actually the one who comes through on this. With what Zach has told you, Adrian has an epiphany and remembers when they were looking through harnessing the power within. There were two spells. One was of shared sight and one was a spell of projection.
Ooh.
The spell of projection works by projecting the mind wherever the wearer goes of a gem, mirror, bone, etc. No one will see the projection except the person possessing the vessel that has been inhabited. The spell of shared sight allows one to temporarily see through the eyes of someone else, being sure to have a reflective vessel to look through. So you know that such a thing exists.
Yeah, Adrian conveys that.
We have to be even more careful in that case, because there are eyes literally everywhere.
I know, I stared right into some.
Liam looks nervously over at the very large mirror on the other side of the room.
It is quite a reflective surface. I hope they don't put them in the bath.
Well, we'll have to find out. I suppose we shall be taking a bath this evening, all four of us. Right?
I'm game for that.
It's not exactly the atmosphere I was hoping for, but yes.
And we'll have to make sure Daniel knows as well.
Should we be talking about this right here?
No, we should be going to the party immediately. Come.
Yes, let's go
Yes.
upstairs. And now we're going to cut to Daniel. Daniel, you, Dorothea, and Eleanor Audley were some of the first people to get to the base of the grand staircase. The staircase goes first up to a landing, and then it turns to the left and goes further up. As you reach the top of the stairs, You see a small object, and it takes you a second to register what it is because it seems somewhat anomalous to the environment. But before long, you realize it is a small pull toy. It's a little track with wheels on it, 4 wheels and a string attached.
Oh.
And you see, you make out the figure is a little drummer with ears like a cat. It's wearing a little soldier's uniform, and it's got a drum strapped to its chest. And as you get up the stairs even further, you think it might be a trick of your eye, but you see it start to roll away from you down the hallway. And its little arms are attached by string to the wheels, so whenever it rolls away, it hits the little tin drum with its arms. Except that one little arm has been broken off, so the poor little thing rolls off, offbeat, hitting the tin drum very slowly.
Liked what you heard? Let us know by using hashtag #DandiesInDanger over on our Twitter, Insta, Tumblr, and TikTok in the listed links below. We'd love to hear any and all comments, questions, and theories as to where the story might be headed. Want to support us and our lads' adventures more directly? Then please consider clicking on the link and becoming a patron today. For just $1, you can gain access to our longer, uncensored outtakes and blooper reels. For $5, you can have access to exclusive stickers, in-world letters written by and for the lads, poetry by Adrian and Daniel, and original music from the show composed and scored by Chess Albanese. Can't afford to support directly? No problem. Podcasts survive by word of mouth. So if you like what you heard, tell your friends, family, and local graveyard ghosts all about these exciting tales. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Dandies in Danger is written and voiced by Elijah Bergateres as Zachary Wilkos. Cast as Liam Bardsley. Chess Albanese as Daniel Pritchard. And Toast as Adrian Edwards. It is edited by Toast. Original score and music composed by Chess Albanese. It is produced by Dandies team, and made possible by listeners like you.